Thank you very much, Fajr, and
Yes.
extremely grateful to you, to Page Pakistan, for giving this opportunity to speak at this ACE forum concerning girl education and especially the role of EdTech. So I'll be speaking on the challenges of EdTech for girls concerning the landscape of Pakistan. Uh, and we all know that if leaving EdTech aside for mainstream education, for mainstream girls' education, it's very complicated and it's very challenging. Girls are already at a disadvantageous position. So if we see 22.8 million out of school children in Pakistan, where the percentage of girls is immense, and there are already gender gaps in learning, as pointed out by Acer report that there are gender gaps in learning, and they are continuous in nature, where boys outperform girls 15 to 16 years of age in literacy and numeracy. And actually, the boys, they outperform girls in reading the sentences in the mother language and English, and also in terms of mathematics. Again, girls, they lag in terms of if a comparison is drawn in terms of gender. So now coming to this baseline, where already they are in a disadvantageous position. Let's add edtech to the story. So concerning edtech, this is our findings of our research. It's not published yet, so I'll be able to only to share limited inferences out of it. That we actually did this study in one of the economically disadvantaged landscape of Pakistan, and what we found that there is a lot of differential access to edtech in terms of gender and in terms of girls access. uh, Parents have a preference to give devices, to give gadgets, or actually hand over these laptops or smartphones to the boy of the household as compared to girl of the household. And it was even more, there was a reiteration by the teachers that this is a scenario that exists, and even the parents who mention that do not have a gender preference, they are implicitly, they are actually doing it all the way. And this is what exactly happened in COVID. And also when we see in terms of learnings, in terms of edtech tools, and uh, uh, in terms of using these cutting edge edtech apps of Khan Academy, of study letter and assessment apps, the use of them, it was very limited, especially for girls as compared to boys. So this is one of the aspects that bring out this discrimination, or brings out this lesser use of technology for girls. And when we tried to probe the reasons, it was majorly they were cultural, religious, and also preference for gender, that were the main reasons of actually putting girls behind in terms of access to technology. Further, we also found out that even government had a mass initiative of teleschool, but it's a different story altogether when we talk about economically disadvantaged areas, because there was limited uh, following of teleschool, or limited use of the content of teleschool among both boys and girls. But even if a comparison is drawn, it was very limited for girls. Hardly in our sample, hardly 15% of the girls, they reverted to actually making use of this content of teleschool by government. So the landscape is grim. There need to be a evidence-based policy design that must feed into these edtech policies that actually rolled out in terms of crisis, and also beyond. Beyond the crisis, we also have to look at what kind of policy design is needed that actually enables these girls to use this technology. And one important aspect is that access does not mean usage. There is a whole barrier dimension in terms of edtech, that despite access, students are not able, girls are not able to use these online classes or education technology. And it pertains to all area, from ownership of devices, gadgets, to issues of internet that is not available, especially in economically disadvantaged areas. And then the parental response and parental behavior that we observed during COVID and during the lockdowns. The certain important aspects that need to be taken in. The parental cooperation needs to improve concerning the use of education technology. There has to be some information dissemination or a change in behavior approach that needs to be carried out to actually take these girls out of this discriminatory aspect of gender preference. And also at the supply end, there's a lot that needs to be done by schools. uh, there are many cutting edge approaches that are around the world in terms of enhanced learning around the world for enhanced tech adoption. So they must be taken at policy level. For example, one important approach, pedagogical skill approach, is teaching at right level. So maybe the learning losses that have been inflicted by the COVID, by pandemic, or the this extended lockdown period that actually made these students to sit at home, that force these students to sit at home. Maybe it can be somehow a remedial measure can be teaching at right level approach, where additional school hours are given to students according to their learning capacity, according to their skill level. And special attention is given to student beyond school hours. It can be in the form of summer camp, it can be in the form of after school hours, it can be in the form of volunteers teaching these students, university graduates volunteering for this. I mean, we have seen this as a workable model in India and Bangladesh. And EdTech application can come through this, and we can make use of all these wide EdTech tools that are available for free on internet, and somehow these can be streamlined into classroom by teachers, because it's a totally different story when we talk about rural areas, about economically disadvantaged areas. We have seen EdTech working in urban areas, how students and girls adopted to it, but it's a very complicated phenomena when it comes to girls' education. And also, I would like to emphasize that the programs that Page are running, or the Kmil Foundation are running the accelerated learning programs, that actually where the students are put through accelerated learnings with integration of technology, and the transition to primary level education. And after this accelerated program, they're actually able to make it to mainstream schools. So that is the need of the hour, especially for the vulnerable, for the disadvantaged. That is the need of the hour, to run these accelerated programs integrated with EdTech, and actually bring them into the mainstream education so they're not left behind. So this was my take on challenges of girls and education in landscape of Pakistan. Thank you very much for this opportunity.